Hello everyone, welcome to Tom and Arnold Talk Movies. I'm Tom, this is Arnold.
Hello there.
Today we're going to be talking about Incredible but True. This is from 2022 and it's written and directed by Quentin Dupieux. So the plot of this film is a couple who have recently bought a new house, somewhat normal house, decent, whatever, apart from a mysterious tunnel in the basement. Despite this, they buy the house, but come to realise that this tunnel may lead to some problems they never could have imagined. Arnold, what did you think of Incredible but True?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was incredible.
Hey.
But it's just because it deals with the whole idea of midlife crisis, mortality, and you've got like three really interesting characters, and I really like their performances, and yeah, it's just really nice. It's quite it gets quite sad towards the end. But yeah, I really loved it, man. I think the first 15 minutes is really solid in terms of the structure, because they do a bit of back and forth in terms of like disjointed sort of scenes. Bit Tarantino.
The structure's a bit strange.
Yeah. But yeah, that's about it really. What did you think, Thomas?
I really liked it as well. I think it didn't sort of wow me. Yeah. It didn't sort of like when I finished watching it, I wasn't like, oh my god, this is amazing. But I did quite enjoy it, and it's like it feels very sort of Twilight Zoney.
Yeah, very.
Where
much
it's got
so.
like it's got this weird like sort of, is it MacGuffin? Is that the right word? I don't know if that is. It's like a plot device anyway.
Yeah.
And it's like, because with the tunnel, spoilers. When you go down the tunnel in the basement, you come out at the top of the house, and 12 hours have gone past, and you've de-aged
3 days.
Yeah. So I thought that was quite a good idea. That does feel like you'd get like a Twilight Zone episode where that happens. And also there is the sort of message behind this, because I agree with you, there is some kind of like midlife crisis, maybe some talk about masculinity,
especially with the boss character,
with masculinity,
with his robotic penis.
We'll get into that. And also the sort of the wife, I think, who's Leah Drucker's character, she wants to be younger and she wants to look better. She wants to relive that youth because she wants to be a model. So I think there's a lot of stuff, like with any good sort of weird, almost sci-fi film, it's good that there's like the message there.
Yeah, the core message is there, and it's not the main focus, because it's all about those three characters and their sort of struggles and how they view life and how, which is pretty cool. But like I said, the first 50 minutes is so fucking good, because it's really clever, because those sort of scenes where it starts off with the meeting of the estate agent, then it flashes forward to they're moving in, the husband signing the whatever, and then you get a scene where the wife is waking up the husband so she can go down the hatch, and you can tell they're all 12 hours apart, which is quite a clever, which is nice, really.
This film sort of reminded me of Greener Grass, where not as surreal as Greener Grass, because that shit's insane, but still has that kind of strange look at like normal people, if you know what I mean. With like that sort of surreal thing, because let's talk about the electronic dick.
Quoi? C'est quoi?
Parce que ça se pilote. Non, mais pardon, non, mais...
Ça se pilote de quoi? D'où tu pilotes une bite, Gérard?
Bah, avec ça. Non, mais... sérieusement? Oh, on est en 2021, les mecs, là. Vous suivez pas les avancées technologiques?
NASA dick.
Yeah. But this is like this is one of those things where it's like it's talking about something, but it's really something else, if you know what I mean. Because in my opinion, I think what this whole electronic dick is really talking about is like impotence and stuff like that. You know, not being able to get it up, basically.
Because he's at that age where he's not going to be able to enjoy that sort of lifestyle.
Yeah. And also there's mentions of the Alan Chabati's name is Alan in the film as well. It's like Alan, there's sort of mentions that he's going through something as well with his wife, and it's just like,
because it's like he's got the robotic penis, he's got the younger girlfriend, it's all compensating.
And he's got the car, and he goes to the and there's a bit where he where they're at the firing range.
Yeah.
And it's like he says to Alan,
he
this
poses
is
that philosophical sort of question: what makes a man?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and there's a bit in the when they're talk. I can't remember exactly what was happening, but there's a scene where the boss and Alan are talking, and Alan says something like, it's funny really because having an electric dick doesn't make you any less of a man. And like you could say the same thing about people being impotent and stuff.
Also that scene as well where he's the boss is talking to his girlfriend after the dinner party scene, whatever, and he goes, "I just think my colleague was impressed by that."
Yeah,
it's that sense of wanting to be validated by that.
It's a bit sort of beta test as well.
Yeah,
like that like masculinity thing and trying to like who's he trying to impress?
Yeah,
I mean apart from himself and
and it's funny
people.
because his colleague, the husband, he doesn't give a fuck. It's good, man.
It is very good.
I think the husband and wife characters. I mean, you think of the husband. He seems to sort of embrace life. He seems to sort of he's more grounded. He just wants to get on with life. He's not really that particularly fazed by the whole traveling through the duct. He's sort of like, okay, fair enough. Whereas the wife, it's like you get a sense that she's sort of stuck in the past, and she's not really she's not really seeing the bigger picture in life. Whereas the husband wants to grow old and embrace that, which is nice. And the wife is sort of like she's seen this opportunity and she's thinking, I could have had this modelling career, maybe I can do that now. And you know what I mean? It's like she feels like she's missed the last train. It's funny you say that because I'm sure she says to him, you're not seeing the bigger picture of we can get younger and all that, whereas he sees I suppose what life's really about, if you want to say that. And it's just like you can look at this film as just a weird quirky sort of comedy film, and it's good enough like that. It is funny, like that scene where they go to the shooting range and he gets shocked and it breaks his dick. So he has to go all the way to Japan to get it fixed, and then kind of it's almost
spoilers.
like a sketch show.
Yeah, kind of spoilers, but it ultimately leads.
I mean,
to
even the music has a part to play with that sort of quirky, Frenchy synth music that's sort of covering classical music.
And the thing is as well, which maybe not spoil right now, but her going back to the wife is she's the bigger picture, we can go back in time in a sense. But there's consequences to that, and despite those consequences, which we'll talk about probably in a bit, is that she still does it. Because, fuck it, let's just talk about that now. Because there's one bit in the film where she takes a rotten apple, she takes it through the tunnel, and the apple's gone back to normal, and she's like, oh my god, this means that it does sort of de-age you. He takes a bite of that apple,
and there's ants inside,
and then spoilers. By the end of the film, she's gone through the tunnel that many times that she's practically de-aged to a 19-year-old or something, and then she ends up in hospital and she's got a
poses
cut.
The question to her, it's like, well, you look young but you're still old.
Do you know
what
I mean? That could be a message about plastic surgery, maybe. But she cuts her arm or something, and all ants pour out. And it's just that's fucking just.
See,
it's just a brilliant fucking.
It's a really good scene, and I don't know if that was sort of ambiguous in the sense. Is that because she's lost the plot now? Is that her imagining it? In a sense that she's trying to sort of confirm it, or did that actually happen?
Oh, so you don't think that happened?
I think it's more ambiguous. Because she's in a mental hospital. She's, because where has she got a knife to cut herself? You got to think. Then they wouldn't allow that, would they?
Yeah.
So she's cutting her wrist, and you see those ants pouring out, and you think, maybe that's just the paranoia.
See, that's very good because see, that's the thing. It's with another thing with this film, you can look at that and be like, is that ambiguous? Did them ants really come out of her? Whereas I saw it as sort of a sci-fi way where it's that's a consequence of using the tunnel.
I think it could be both, to be honest. The thing is though, she's sort of thinking about her husband, and you see that shot of her husband, and it's the way it's sort of shot, it's very lit, it's a sort of tranquil sort of tone, and she's almost she's conversing with her husband, and it's I can't remember what she says, but she says something like, didn't you know this? And he goes, yeah, and he sort of confirms it. And it's almost like she's talking to him inside her head. And that's what I got out of that. So very sort of surreal in that sense.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
ending.
Like there's because you could even say, because at one point in the film, Alan, he tries to basically, I think he like boards up. Well, he doesn't board it up. He like puts like a metal.
He fills it up.
Yeah, he tries to fill it up with concrete, but she doesn't let him. He tries to like put like a metal plate around it, and that doesn't work. And it's like you could almost say that's like an addiction, and tie that in with like the whole beauty thing. But I do want to say, it seems like, and this is kind of just a little criticism, because it's just like the stuff they're talking about. It's kind of very standard, if you know what I mean, especially with the woman character, because it's like all she wants to do is look young and look good again, and it's like that. I suppose for something simple it's fine, but when you think about it, it's a bit sort of like, is that all she really cares about? Just
vanity issues.
Yeah, yeah. And I suppose like it. I mean, it doesn't really matter that she's a woman, I suppose. But it's just like it does seem like a pretty standard trope, if you know what I mean.
I think when you think about the runtime, because it's only like an hour and 13 minutes, I suppose it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it kind of has to be kind of basic in the sense where, you know, in order to keep up with the pacing, because I think the film's incredibly well paced.
Yeah,
for an hour and 13, because a lot happens, but it doesn't feel like it's too much thrown at you.
Yeah, yeah. And going back to sort of the Twilight Zone comparison, I mean, there's many episodes of Twilight Zone which, like, you've just got to set this up.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't got time to make someone really fucking complicated.
Yeah. You get to the point where the wife has managed to achieve her youthful look in that, and she's sat on a table, and the camera moves to the husband, and he's obviously aged, you know, a bit more now, and it's like that sort of contrast is a beautiful shot. I really liked that. I want to talk about the husband, because I really liked him. I think he was such a sympathetic character in the sense that, you know, he like I said earlier, it was more grounded in terms of what was going on around him, because he was worrying about the mortgage. I mean, his boss. I mean, the agent he had to work with, he was such a dick to him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There was that
and like
as well, yeah.
The fact that he never saw his wife, only like during nighttime, and it was only for a few minutes because she was busy traveling through the duct every 12 hours.
It's a very simple man, if you know.
Yeah,
what I mean.
yeah, and it's like, you know, it's sad in a sense, because he never got to spend that much time with his wife, and like she's not there mentally, and it's like, in a way, she's kind of gone.
Yeah,
from his life.
She's so obsessed.
Yeah. It's like she's not living; she's just existing.
Yeah. It's yeah, and he doesn't sort of. There isn't a moment where he sort of. Well, there might be. I mean, but I can't remember a moment where he specifically like blows up at her and he goes mad at her. I'm sure there's bits where like he probably gets like, you know, what you doing.
He gets fed up. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets fed up, but there's not like a really serious moment where he proper like has it out with her.
No.
And there's a bit, I think it's like practically the end of the film, where he's sitting there fishing, and he seems kind of content with his life. Does he have a dog? I can't remember.
Yeah, he has a dog.
He has a dog, and it's just like he seems content with his life, whereas his wife has gone a different way. And it's like they talk to each other, but they're not at the same place. If that makes sense.
That's where I thought that was a bit kind of surreal in a sense.
Yeah, but I mean, like, maybe that's like almost. It doesn't make sense in terms of actual like making sense in the real world, but it's just like it's like showing us the two sides of
it's that
where
journey
where they've both ended up. Going back to that sort of montage, I really did like that, because it felt like it's in a weird way its own sort of short film. It didn't feel like a way to be like, you know, how do we get from this point to this point?
It didn't feel cheap.
Yeah, it was a good way to tell a story. Like, I mean, you could have done that. That whole montage.
You could have stretched it for like the film could have been at least an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, I reckon it could have been 2 hours. I reckon that could have been. I reckon that could have been its own like another plot which kicks in, and like, but they didn't do that.
Short but sweet.
Well, less is more, innit? You know what I mean? I think that's the main thing. But anything else on Incredible but True?
That's all.
Very good film. Oh, Quentin Dupieux. I think he did a film which we'll have to watch, because I've always thought that sounds so silly, but now I'm interested, because he did a film called Rubber, which was about a sentient tire.
Oh, he did that?
I think he did that.
No way.
If he didn't do that, then I'm fucking wrong. But there we go. But yeah.
Really, I thought that was an American film.
I don't know, mate.
We'll have a look.
Well, that's
yes.
But yeah, very good film. Thank you very much, Quentin Dupieux, and all the actors. And thank you for watching.
Thank you, Thomas.
Cheers. cheers for watching, and we'll see you in another video probably, unless we both get killed in the next 2 seconds. Oh fuck!